Hi, I'm Ellen Waltrip, and here's some thoughts I have on Soviet montage theory and the Battleship Potemkin film. I thought it was an incredible movie. It really gave future directors a start with, different kinds of editing. And the movie really sets the standard along with some of the other directors from the Soviet montage world. Um, it's interesting that it was based on a true event that happened in 1905, and this film was actually released 20 years later, not by accident. Um, the protagonist, Vakulanchuk, um, he emerges at the beginning as the leader of the rebellion, and then at the end, he's martyred for being that leader. So that's a big symbol, excuse me, of the propaganda that they're pushing here. A couple of edits that really stood out for me, an intellectual edit, which is defined as two different shots that create a new meaning, with more of a whole with than the sum of its parts. Sorry. The admiral is thrown overboard during the rebellion, and then it cuts to a a picture of a life preserver, and then it goes back to showing the chaotic scene. So that's just a message that nobody's going to consider saving him. Then there was another intellectual montage shot where other officers are thrown overboard, and then the shot is cut to worms on the meat. And then there's a line that says they've gone to feed the fishes now. So that's really saying that the officers are now the rotten meat and they're being fed to somebody else. And I also loved the lions, the three lions. The first one's sleeping, so that kind of represents people as unknowing about what's happening in the world. The second one wakes up, and so that shows that they're starting to understand, what is around them. And then the third is rising up. So it shows that they're starting to realize that they have to take action. And that's great propaganda for the whole Soviet communist cause. Let's see, there was another mise en scène. I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if this is true, if in history, or if this was done for dramatic effect, but the workers actually shoot at the opera house, which is representative of the upper class. The workers would have never gone to the opera. So it just represents that they're trying to get rid of those types of class distinctions. So there was a rhythmic montage shot that I thought was interesting during the rebellion, where just kept showing workers running around the ship and up and down stairs and up and down stairs, and just, over and over again, which added to the whole chaotic effect. Also, there was one point where there was a line of workers kind of moving, running around the boat, and then the shot cuts to a rope moving. So that was a really artistic kind of, moving painting. I thought it was really beautiful to watch, actually. Okay, so I chose a scene that really revolves around the priest. And it starts at minute 22:14 and then ends at 28:55. Ends at the end of the rebellion. So this starts with the priest showing up. He walks up the stairs. He looks really threatening. It looks like his hair's on fire. Certainly not a typical religious icon. you know, just very scary. And then his line is, "Bring the unruly to reason, Lord." So he's basically siding with the officers, um, saying that it's okay to shoot these unruly workers. And then he's holding the cross like a weapon. He's tapping it on his hand. It's very threatening. He's got a very threatening way around him, about him. Later, he gets knocked down. And he says, "Have fear of God." And then the worker who knocks him down actually says, "Beat it, sorcerer." That symbolizes that the Soviets saw religion as bad. You know, religion is the devil. And then that soldier looks at the priest. The cross is dropped, and he looks at it and then looks back at the priest. And to me, that is the message that, you know, he has the choice of either following religion or following the future. You know, religion is the past, and following his comrades into the future. And he chooses the future. He chooses communism. So as far as what I found interesting in the Ellis book, the part on montage theory and practice. Montage means assemble. I found it interesting that it grew out of necessity because there just wasn't a lot of film stock available. So Einstein and Potemkin are actually compared in this chapter. You know, they're considered friendly rivals. Einstein's way of directing and editing were to bring together, you know, contrasting shots, you know, that just don't relate to one another, opposite of each other, which, you know, created some shock and forced the audience to understand differently. And, you know, all the shots brought together made it greater than the sum of its parts. Potemkin, his shots were more gradual to unfold the story. And he also focused on individuals rather than the masses. And it's really interesting to see. You can see the differences really clearly in Storm Over Asia versus Battleship Potemkin. The other thing about Potemkin that I really thought was interesting is that he regarded actors as, you know, kind of a plastic material, a paint, a clay, just something to be molded, to just set up an action, and that the editing was really going to create the performance. And for good reason, actors were really pissed off about that. The other really interesting thing when I was searching for the movie to watch on YouTube, I actually ended up watching the first time the movie with the Pet Shop Boys soundtrack. Now, if you guys don't know who they are, they're an early 80s duo. They're kind of, I don't know, new wavy, sort of early EDM music. They're actually really good. You should check them out. And the music during the mutiny scene was really interesting. Again, maybe you just find just a few minutes and watch it and compare it with how the music makes you feel when you watch the other cut of the movie that had the more traditional music. So during the mutiny scene, and again, during the Odessa Step scene, it's like a really heavy rhythmic beat. There's some sounds made by one of the singers that's just a rhythm. And then on the Odessa Steps, it starts with that music, and then it cuts to a very sad, dramatic music, cuts back to the, you know, chaotic rhythmic beat, back and forth. And then also at the end, there's a kind of a triumphant music, and there's actually some singing in there. And it, you know, the words include brother and freedom. And it's just interesting to see how that makes you feel differently about a film. Just the soundtrack is different. I give this film a 9. I feel like it was groundbreaking, it was creative, it was exciting, especially for a silent film, and it's made a lot of all-time great lists. Um, so these are some ideas that I have, and thank you for listening.